Hello everyone and welcome to Geopolitical Trends. My name is David Oualaalou. So good to be with you as always. Why do Americans are extremely pessimistic about US prospects in 2023 this year? In this video, I am going to provide you a brief assessment as to why that is. But before I'll delve deeper into this topic here, I'd like to give a shout out to the channel's new members and supporters. I call out on William N. I call out on Chua Kok Bang. And I call out on Yo K Tan. Thank you so much for your support in this channel. It means a lot. If you like the content of this channel, literally what I put out on these videos, and want to support this channel and show your support, consider joining this membership here. If you are new to this channel, please make sure to hit the subscribe button, because I am on a mission to help as many people as possible around the world to become informed and well-versed. And I can only do that if you are subscribed. And don't forget to hit both the like and the notification buttons, because that motivates me to create more contents that will be of importance to you. And thank you so much for your support. Let's dive into this topic. Mostly for this American audience, if you happen to be an American watching this, but it won't matter. Even if you are from another country, what's going on here also kind of have a reflection of what's going on in other parts of the world. So coming off several challenging years for the past decade or so, or even 2 decades, Americans have entered now 2023 with mostly, and I will use the term because I don't sugarcoat things, entered the 2023 with a gloomy outlook. And this is not only for their personal lives, but for the US, as majority of Americans predict negative conditions in economic, political, societal, and international arenas. And here's the thing, of course there are those who say, well, you talk negative about America, or that's nonsense. It's the patriotism and love for the country that prompts me to address these issues. Because if we don't, nobody will. Look just at dysfunctional Congress, how it is. Do we expect Congress to really address the concerns of the American people? Hell no, they're not gonna do that because they don't care. Straightforward. So when offering opposing outcomes, shall we say, on any issue, the recent surveys found that about 8 in 10, get this guys, and I will provide you of course links to all this, 8 in 10 US adults think that 2023 will be a year of economic difficulties. And why is that? And of course because of the inflation. And this economic difficulty is going to be with even higher rather than lower taxes and growing rather than shrinking budget deficits. Yeah, we already crossed into $32 trillion in a national debt, and the taxes already entered into effect on January 1st. And I'm going to provide you a list with just few examples of where the taxes went up that most Americans have no clue about, because it was almost a media blackout on that issue. Okay? Here's the other thing, or other facts that is, because I did research this for you to give you a clear picture of where things are. So more than 6 in 10, 6 in 10 American here, think that prices will rise at a higher rate than last year. Inflation here. And the stock market will fall in the year ahead. Because both of those conditions, the higher prices and the falling of stock markets, both of them happened in 2022. So 2023 is going to be a continuation of that pattern, shall we say. Additionally, just over half of Americans predict that unemployment will increase in 2023. Which is an economic problem that basically the United States was spared in 2022, but it won't be the case in 2023. So let me go back to, I'm gonna go to the list of taxes that I told you I would share with you. Well, the list of taxes increase as part of the Inflation Reduction Act. You guys remember this, that Congress passed in 2022? Well, it didn't. Well, of course, most Americans will never know because most Americans are too preoccupied by design. So, on January 1st of this year, which is a week ago, the following tax hikes took effect, and I'm going to share 2 or 3 with you. The first one, $6.5 billion tax on natural gas, which will increase the household energy bills here in the United States. Let alone that the tax hike violates President Biden's tax pledge. That when he said to any American making less than $400,000 a year. This is no different than the late Bush Sr. who said, and I don't know if you know much about what's going on with that debate or what was going on in that debate when the Bush Sr. said, read my lips, no more taxes. And he went back on that. So, second tax is $1.2 billion tax on coal, which will, of course, increase the household energy bills. The third one that I'll share with you is a $225 billion corporate income tax hike, which will be, of course, passed on to whom? Household and consumers. So you can just see, nothing's going to benefit the American people. This is why I don't find it personally that Congress is useless. Let's just not sugarcoat it. It's the truth. It's the reality. So, on the domestic front, 90%, get this guys, 90% of Americans expect 2023 to be a year of political conflict in the US. Yeah, it's alarming. 72% of Americans think crime rate will rise, and it's already rising. Look no further than the crime rates in New York City. So, 56% of Americans predict there will be many strikes by labor unions. We're already seeing this. Once again, I feel comfortable saying that there is a media blackout on it. What am I talking about here? I'm talking about the strike by nurses in New York City, which just went into effect today. By the time you watch this video, it will be 2 days or so. It went in effect on Monday, just yesterday, basically, the 8th, or the 9th, that is so. And this in disputes over the pay and staffing level. This is no different than what England has, or had, as far as the nursing strike. So, and regarding world affairs, 85% of Americans, when I say Americans, I'm referring to US adults, because you can't count children into this surveys, predicts the year ahead, which means as we go into 2020, as we are in 2023 moving forward, it will be fraught with international discord rather than peaceful approach to conflicts. Yeah, this is why we are lacking leaders who truly advocates for peace, a peaceful existence with other countries, cooperation with other countries that will benefit all parties. A win-win situation, as I always call it. So, there's also 60% of Americans think that U.S. power in the world will decline. 73% think that China will that China's power will increase. However, 64% of Americans expect Russia's power in the world to decrease because of the country's recent setbacks in its war against Ukraine. Something I don't agree with. Russia's global role is not going to decrease in 2023. As a matter of fact, it's the reverse. You look at no further than how the ruble just performed last week against the US dollar. That should give you an indication, because if the economy is moving forward, then you don't worry about the collapse of a country. So I disagree with this one as far as what the survey. But here is the thing. Historically speaking, data have always generally shown that Americans' forecasts for the coming year are largely dependent on their views of the domestic and the international climates at the time of when the survey was conducted. Of course, in our country and in the US, with the inflation, with the massive debt we are incurring, with people layoffs that's going on. As a matter of fact, Goldman Sachs announced that's going to be laying off about 3,200, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, so the layoffs are going on. So, and this is what historically has been always the case. So you think about it in the big picture. The government, the economy, and inflation dominated as the most important problems facing the United States in 2022. That's what it was. But guess what? It is extending to 2023 because the confidence in the economy remains among the worst readings measured since the Great Recession. Yeah, that's how bad things are. And yet the government is not willing to step forward and deal with these issues rather than, sending our tax dollars to some far land country that has nothing to do with the welfare of the American people. I'm an American, I pay taxes. Well, I do have a say and I need to know where my tax dollars are spent on. If they are in the benefit of my country, of other citizens here in the US, I have no problem with it. But if my tax dollars are just being wasted, I got an issue with that. And I hope you do too, if you happen to be an American watching this. Sadly, most Americans are not interested in this. They are interested in watching football. They are interested in nonsense stuff. That doesn't mean I'm against football. I'm not. I'm just saying, because thinking requires effort and they don't want to think. So they leave it to the government to just do whatever. And that's exactly what is happening. And here's the thing. This decreased confidence in the economy is largely due to the highest inflation in the United States in more than 40 years. And again, an average person now is struggling to make ends meet. Their salary, it cannot cover the month expenses and so forth. And this is what majority of Americans, based on this survey, and again, I will provide you the link to all these stats so you'll put things in perspective. Majority of Americans say that this inflation is causing financial hardship in their household. And yet, as I said earlier, we are sending billions and billions of dollars to some farmland countries, like Ukraine, for example. Just call a spade a spade. It's our country. We care. I care. So the American people perception of the local crimes also reached a record high level, and a national crimes perception edged up in October. As a matter of fact, a few months ago, it started to go up, And because why is this important? Crime usually, and I am not a sociologist, I don't claim to be one, but at least I had some courses during my academic journey in sociology to understand that crimes is a reflection of the economic conditions within society. And that's what we expect. This is why you're seeing crime rates are increased in New York City, in LA, some big cities. So here's the bottom line to all this. Americans are greeting or have greeted already 2023 with such great skepticism and a little expectations that the economic struggles that closed out 2022 will subside. And so, where you are, if you are an American, whether you are an American or not, if you think that political polarization in America is bad, think again. Because it is worse than you have thought, or the media is letting you know, or the government sharing with you. And if you are under the impression that dysfunctionality in Washington is merely a product of partisan political gamesmanship on the Capitol Hill, try it again. Because the division inside not only the Beltway around Washington, D.C., but around the country reflects the ideological divide within the American society. And that is manifesting itself not only in politics, but in everyday life. So indeed, in my opinion, this polarization is growing. And it has profound and will have a profound implication for economics, social, and security issues. Not only here at home, but also abroad. And this is why it concerns me that we are having like a leadership deficiency. We don't have leaders anymore. We don't have people who can think logically and realistically, not only for the welfare of the American people, but for world peace for that matter. And again, I know you have to go, you as a country, you have to go after your own strategic interest. There is nothing wrong with that. But you also have to be careful about how far you push in other countries. Why trigger more conflicts? Because we're going to end up paying the price here. Look no further than what's going on in Europe right now. Look what's going on right now in France with the demonstrations that just took place this weekend. And I'm going to do a video for you guys about it because you need to know what's going on. And I do feel there is a media blackout on all those issues. So here is my question for you for today. What do you think why do you think America is so divided today? Let me repeat. In your opinion, why do you think the United States is so divided today? Make sure to leave me some comments, as I always like to read your feedback, and I can't thank you enough for your support. As always, remember, geopolitics impact your daily life in more ways than one. Till next time, guys. Bye-bye.